This is Mile High.
Do I want to tell the story or do I want to show the message?
You've got a lot of work to do between Mile High.
The time has come where we can know
we have a responsibility, an ethical and moral responsibility.
We have to do it better in order to move people along.
Up, down, inside out.
If you get your mind right, it is not. It is a receiver of thought. Because love is my first technique.
it's now time for the show.
Welcome to the Mile High Podcast. This is your host, Dr. Daniel Knowles. Thank you for joining us from wherever you are, whether it be sea level or 2 miles high. I don't know. There's not many people that would be chiropractors 2 miles high, but we're a mile high, okay? And wherever you are watching, listening on, and whatever platform, hit subscribe. You always want to be tuned into the Mile High Tick. So whether it be on YouTube or iTunes or Spotify, make sure you hit subscribe, and also you make sure you clear your calendar to physically be on higher ground in September. I can't think of anywhere else better to be on the September 25th weekend than be on higher ground with us. So riseuptomilehigh.com is where you can get the 411 on that. Though I just found out you can't say 411 anymore because people don't know what that is anymore unless you're on. So I guess you got to get what would be the way to say it instead of that? You'll get the details. You get
the details.
That's what it is. Yeah, the deets instead of 411 because people don't know what that is. So, and that being said, grateful to be here with Dr. Jeannie Kakizaki, who everybody knows who she is, and that she's a cheerleader for humanity, dedicated to reigniting passion and possibility. She really facilitates reignition through NetworkSpinal and SRI, Somato integration. She's currently, after being at Life West and the Bay Area, relocated to the Hive, okay, and which is located in Austin. So if you want to dial in some Dr. Jeannie Kakizaki time, that's where you go. And right now you get some very special Dr. Jeannie time with me on the Mile High Podcast. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Jeannie.
Happy to be here.
Well, then everybody's happy. So we're going to dial in some fun for all our watchers and viewers. And again, make sure you hit subscribe. You're going to want to do that to make sure you're in on the Mile High Tick. Now, Jeannie, all right. First of all, how's life in Austin?
I love life in Austin.
Good.
Absolutely love life in Austin. The people are great. The food scene is amazing. The music scene is awesome. And I actually really love the heat. So summers are a scorcher, and I love it. Like, I think the Filipino in me is like, roast me. Just
there you go.
Get me well done.
Good.
Yeah,
well,
so good.
People, food, music, and it sounds hot. There you go.
It can be hot, yes.
So then let's get the intro to the Dr. Jeannie travels that got her from whatever she was doing pre-chiropractic to Austin. How'd that play out? How did you find your world into the way into the chiropractic world?
You want to go pre? We're going.
Well, as far back as you want to go.
I love that.
How internal we're going to go, but at least, well,
Here's the thing. Okay, so I don't know if not a lot of people know this, but I grew up in Idaho.
I did not know that.
I did. So I am a Pacific Northwest girl. I grew up in Idaho. And believe it or not, the two places I told myself that I would never move to were California and Texas. That which you resist, folks, will persist.
You might have to look into this and be careful what you resist next.
Totally. I mean, can I resist Fiji then? Is that
I with how the odds were rolling for you, I would do that.
So yeah, I grew up in northern Idaho. And as a matter of fact, received Gonstead care for 12 years from the age of 5 until 17 when I graduated from high school. And long story short, I found myself in a situation where I had a head injury, wasn't seen and experienced as a head injury in high school, my senior year. lost my photographic memory, lost my ability to, I mean, essentially read. I was dyslexic and was put on antidepressant medication that I could not get off of for the life of me. Like I tried so many times and could not get off of them by myself. And so kind of building up the whole thing, ended up in Santa Fe, New Mexico, because I followed a boy. And lo and behold, landed a job at a network office in Santa Fe. And that's how I got introduced to this incredible just world of possibility. And within 1 week, after a week of care, I was able to successfully get off of the medication with no withdrawal symptoms at all. And usually, like they will hit me like that, like by the second. And no withdrawal symptoms. I kind of still anticipated them even after the first week, after the first month, after the first 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, still kind of waiting, like, is this it? This is done. We're done with that. And it was at my first transformational gate that I had access to my photographic memory again after being under care for 6 months. And so I
Wow.
didn't know that at the time that, wow, like my brain just rewired itself around parts that I was told would be gone forever. I would never get that back. And I was off the antidepressant medication. I could say literally like living my best life. And soon thereafter started working with people in terms of Somato respiratory integration. And then it was years later, but then finally then moved to the Bay Area, went to chiropractic school there, did the full dance, built a business out of 6 different practices doing SRI before going to chiropractic school. And that was it. After that,
Wow.
started my first business there, and then we moved.
There you
2020,
go.
almost 5 years ago.
Wow. Wow. What a journey. Now, what is it like being on the other side from, receiving chiropractic and your life changing to changing lives?
There is nothing like it. There's nothing like it. And I will say, because of what my experience was, nothing nothing stands in the way of me serving that person to light up and allow them to remember what their potential is. Like
Hmm.
nothing stands in the way of that. And so being able to serve in this capacity, being able to essentially what for me feels like being able to give back and reignite that possibility and that knowing, and just so someone knows that there is another option out there, there's nothing like it. Like absolutely nothing like it.
Got it. Love it.
Yeah,
Now something else that there's nothing like is chiropractic.
absolutely.
There's nothing else that's a substitute for it. It's unique, right? And there's different whole world of chiropractic world that has a lot of different perspectives within it, but in and of itself, and something that is the rage these days is the phrase self-care. Okay, that's the current rage on social media, and you've been quoted as saying self-care is becoming the path to disconnect versus the path to get more connected. Okay.
Yes.
So, can you share a little bit about that? The difference between taking care of ourselves is disconnection versus, hey, chiropractors are about connection.
Absolutely. So I feel like we throw around that term just so blasé, like, oh, okay, this is like my self-care moment, like I'm gonna get my like pumpkin spice latte. This is like my self-care moment. But when we say that, when a lot of the time when we say that, it's enough of what's happening out here, and I just need to literally just disconnect. And I hear people say that all the time. And which is fascinating to me because the whole idea of self-care is to nurture yourself so that you are building and living a life that you don't have to constantly disconnect from. And
Mm,
so, right? Like But nobody wants to take that moment where you're hanging out with your little, pumpkin spice latte to contemplate potentially what might need to change, what might actually need to
Ah,
shift. And I feel like chiropractic care in that self, when we really truly own this sense of innate intelligence, when we truly own that your ability to follow and to take in the signs and respond to life in its fullest expression, that it's leading us somewhere. But if we're consistently and constantly having to disconnect from that, like at that point, then it's going to have to get so loud. It's going to have to get so loud that you finally have to. How often have you heard like, "Oh, doc, finally, I had to just finally, I finally broke up with a guy," or, I finally, had to just change jobs because I couldn't take it anymore, versus your ability to listen to those subtle cues that have potentially kind of been leading you all this time, where what seemed like what you needed to disconnect from was what actually you needed to listen to.
hmm, hmm. And it's interesting because as you say that, I feel within me that those examples that you gave, there has to be a certain level of bandwidth or resourcefulness or connection to be able to make those leaps.
Absolutely. And that's and that's what I feel like as chiropractors, we have this amazing amazing ability to be able to connect people not only with what's going on in their bodies, but the ability for them to see and experience that what's happening in their bodies isn't separate from what's going on in their lives.
Hmm.
Right? Like
Right.
there is magic, right? There is magic in a healthy spine.
Right.
And and once they start to experience the magic in that healthy spine, guess what? They're going to start to experience that magic in their not only happy, healthy life, but an extraordinary life.
I love it. I love it. So then, how do we, rather than, um, would you say helping a person have a healthier nerve system's going to help them downsize less than they do?
Yeah, because they have more capacity. So here's the thing. Here's the other part and piece about self-care is that we're conditioning ourselves to say no more than we'll say yes. It's like
Hmm.
we are bringing ourselves to this place of isolation where we are consistently, constantly downsizing our lives because we can't handle it all. So maybe if we just disconnect from that one more thing, from that one more friend, from that, one more situation, then we'll be okay, right?
Hmm.
Allowing our circumstances or those events or these things or people around us to dictate how it is that we're going to live our lives or how it is that we respond.
Hmm.
And so with that greater sense of capacity and the ability to be with life, then there's no need to have to downsize. There's no need to have to make things more quote unquote digestible, or to me, make things more comfortable,
Yeah.
right? And when I look at, the potential in a newborn baby or in a 2-year-old who's, expressing life and doing all the things on the table, it's not for them about being comfortable. It's actually about more expression of life. It's more
Mhm.
expression. And so how does that translate for us as adults? More expression in life, definitely, I don't see that as us being like holed up in our corner again, drinking our pumpkin spice latte all by ourselves. Like I see us participating more in community. I see us being able to contribute more in community. And to share ultimately like what our gifts are and actually have those received. And so, definitely more less, how you said it, less downsizing of life and really more living of it.
So I gotta ask, so why are you hating on pumpkin spice
I
latte?
don't know. There's somebody who's going to be listening to this who's like, "Oh my God, that is my one Zen moment. You're taking away my
Well,
PSLs."
well, I mean, it's spring now, not fall, so I guess
True.
it's.
I don't know.
Hmm.
And then maybe that's, it'll be fall though in September by the time
Yeah,
Mile
yeah,
rolls around.
yeah. I think this may come out before then, but just
It's it's just, I'm trying to think of what the Zen moment would be, for a quote unquote coffee drink in the springtime. Maybe it's a cold
well,
brew.
yeah, I mean, you can have Zen moments. We're not saying you can't have them, but to
Correct.
think that, healing, wellness, wholeness, up leveling is only feeling good all the time is not true.
100%. And I love that you brought that up because um I I I like to joke about this when when I'm facilitating 12 stages or leading people through SRI because I talk about how everybody's looking for that just like shanti shanti moment, like I'm gonna be this awakened, just connected, but I don't want to be connected to you. I don't
Mm,
want to be because you've got bad vibes. You
right.
bring you bring the bad vibes. What does that mean? Like what does that actually mean? And when someone I feel like has a healthy spine, when they have a healthy nervous system, your capacity to be with more life. And life expression is a whole gamut. It's going to be people who express quote unquote all the good things, and it's going to be with people who express all the quote unquote bad things. But the ability to be with all of that, that's full life expression, right? And so, true, true nervous system health is being able to take action and do the things that most likely, if you're looking for change, are not going to feel good.
Right.
And if
Right.
you want to function like a, 2 to 4 year old toddler basing every every decision and everything that you want to do on how you feel, more power to you. You're just not going to get very far.
Mm. Or you're only going to get so far, right?
Only get so far.
Well, and then there's this thought process. This is a good conversation to continue. There's this thought process not only in the chiropractic world, but in the healing world all over. And practice members probably come into people. I know they come in at times in my office of that well, health is balance, right? Like I want to get more balance, and that's why I'm coming in.
Right. I love these conversations because, again, in those moments of what actually would be required,
Uh-huh.
let's say they came in for whatever, shoulder pain or whatever it is.
Right.
Um, those moments that actually require them to make a difference. Those moments when they're being called to, like, again, it could be, let's just say they feel the shoulder pain every single time their sister-in-law calls.
Right.
And they they're like, oh, well, maybe I just need to talk to her less. But then guess what? Some other person who seems just like her sister-in-law shows on up, and guess what? Shoulder continues to hurt. And again, kind of back piggybacking on this whole idea of having to downsize. And to me, that sense of balance, that sense of equilibrium or balance is all about making things more comfortable.
Right.
It's
Right.
about comfort.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I am usually very upfront. My job is not to make you more comfortable.
Right. Right. Well, and hey, this doesn't mean that we want people to be uncomfortable all the time.
No, of course not.
Anyways, right? It's not that you have to constantly in discomfort. However, at the same time, understanding that wholeness includes discomfort.
100%. Because now, how else is our body going to communicate with us that something needs to change?
Right.
If everything felt just like, again, Om Shanti Shanti all the time, and everything is just like all honky-dory and beautiful and wonderful and magical, how often would we take the action steps to create change, do something different? Not very often.
I can't Om Shanti Shanti while having a pumpkin spice latte. That's it, I mean, because I kind of want that. At least sometimes.
Sometimes, but then it goes back to this. It goes back to your intention,
Okay.
right? In that moment, yeah, you could shanti while having your PSL. Okay, you could be doing that, but
I mean,
in
I
that
think there's something wrong with that at times.
there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. However, if you are if you are zenning out, and keyword there, zenning out, as if the moment to just completely and totally check out and not come back to your life more inspired, more with greater bandwidth, with more you available.
Ah,
You have to beg the question, what is that particular act of quote unquote self-care actually doing for you? Is it allowing you to truly connect and come back to the life that you should be excited about and, you know, I don't want to say should, that instills a sense of inspired action or possibility? Or are you utilizing those self-care moments to move away from something?
okay. Or possibly that brings you to a place that you can give more gifts.
Exactly. Totally.
Right.
Absolutely. So, you can shanti your pumpkin spice latte. Next time I text you, I'll be like, Danny, what are you doing? You're like, oh, I'm shanti. My cold brew, my fresh espresso.
I mean, I did have a cold brew today that
You
Rochelle
did.
got me. And it was a nice surprise. And it was a gift that she gave me that I was happy about, you know. And at the same time, I know that if I'm going to have growth and give more gifts, there's going to be some degree of lack of stability or discomfort at times,
Sure.
right? And then there'll be more bandwidth. I'll have to develop a way to have more bandwidth till I get the next level of discomfort.
Right. And how, again, bandwidth, how much of you is available to see and experience that stretch, that discomfort
Hmm.
is going to determine how you experience that. So if you don't have a lot of bandwidth, you don't have a lot of energy, you're going to see that discomfort as something bad. You're going to see that discomfort as something to avoid. With that greater amount of bandwidth, with that greater amount of capacity, you're going to see and experience that discomfort as something else,
Hmm.
right?
Right. Right.
And
Absolutely.
and as chiropractors, we have this brilliant opportunity to to allow people to truly experience that range. And it's not for us to have to fix them or get them out of what that potential like growth is, because it's, to me, that's like, helping the butterfly come out of the chrysalis. Like, oh, let me just help you, let me aid you in that. Oh,
Mhm.
like that is there is a perfect, beautiful process there if we actually allow our patients or practice members to truly experience that for themselves.
Right. 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 So then that brings up to another conversation, okay, to trigger, which is this, is that often people think of chiropractic as a place of I want less of something I don't like.
Right.
Okay? Like I go for healthcare when I want less of something I don't like versus I engage in healthcare, right? Including chiropractic be included in that circle when I want more of something that I want more of something in my life.
Yeah.
So can you help discern that difference for people?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, just kind of going back to what I said about, this sense of kind of moving away from something,
Hmm.
and um as a chiropractor, again, like we're positioned so beautifully to give people this just such a a unique opportunity. And so for someone who comes in who's looking to experience less pain or who wants to lose weight or who wants to um uh what's another one? I mean, another
Less
less
pain, lose weight, um, uh, less stress.
less stress. They're going to see and experience every interaction with you in a completely and totally different way.
Mm.
So even just walking into your office, they're already looking to be fixed. They're already
Right.
looking to almost in a sense kind of have this instant sense of gratification of like, oh, but wait, doc, it still hurts. Because
Right.
everything is measured from this place of what they're moving away from,
Uh-huh.
as opposed to having a different outcome, having a different goal, moving towards something.
Uh-huh.
That in itself reframes the entire what you'll call plan, the whole projected journey for that individual, because not every visit is a like am I in less pain right now? Have I lost enough weight? Is there less stress? They're moving towards something. They're moving towards something. So that sense of how you might measure that, how they measure their care is completely and totally different. And these two people could be literally in the same office, but being taken care of by two different docs who
Mhm.
have these two different perspectives. And guess what? It might look on the surface that you are taking care of or even potentially adjusting the same subluxations. And guess what? Those two people will have two totally different outcomes.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, here's the thing that when you when you want to have a excuse me, a chiropractic practice focused on the things that you're sharing, then how do you what are some things of how you shift around every aspect of the practice?
That's a great question.
I know it's a broad stroke, because you can go in all kinds of details there,
Sure.
but just get into the perspective for someone that says, yeah, this is what Dr. Jeannie and Danny are talking about is what I want, but how do I go in that direction when I have maybe the practice not looking that way? What are some things to then shift to make that more the experience?
I love that. So there's so many ways that you can do that. And first, let's focus on what the patient experience or the practice member experience would be like.
Okay.
So they might come in with a list of all of these things, and you might talk about the history of some of these things. You might talk about all of that. And I'm curious, when you place your hands on that individual, on that spine, just simply by acknowledging not only the areas of high tension, but what would it be like to actually also acknowledge the parts and pieces that actually feel peaceful?
Well,
So even in palpation or how you might experience, let's say, your objective findings, whether it's X-ray, whether it's an insight scan or something like that, instead of seeing and focusing on just the things that are wrong, being able to even shift your own focus of where are we headed? Where's our destination, or where is it that potentially this person or individual would like to go? And I will ask them, Danny, I will ask them. I said, okay, so you have all of these things that are listed here, but what does that actually mean to you?
mm-hmm. Mm.
What does that actually mean to you? What is your concern about
Mm-hmm.
this?
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll flip it. I'll say, okay. So then they'll name whatever that is, and they'll say, what would it be like?
Mm-hmm.
What would it be like to experience whatever they say, a greater sense of liberation or more excitement or whatever it is. And I'll just pause and I'll let them just answer what that's like. Because guess what? You're not gonna be the only office where they've spouted out their 20 item diagnostic list,
Uh-huh.
right? But how often do they get to talk about the things that excite them, to talk
Mm-hmm.
about the things that light them up, to talk about the things that they would love to see happen? So even in the patient practice member experience, there's that. How you might look at your even financial plans, where are you in there for a short-term moment with them?
Mhm.
Are you just kind of locking them in for 12 visits and then saying sayonara, I hope you did well and that was brilliant, amazing? Or are you talking to them about the full potential and the full range of what's actually possible? Because again, I could have my own clinical, these are the things that I think would be really brilliant and amazing for you to experience. But if we truly believe in the whole innate intelligence and the value of that, I'm not the authority. They are.
Mhm.
So by them being able to name what it is that they'd love to see happen with all the information that I have provided with them, that brings it back. That brings a whole different perspective
Right.
to every interaction where, okay, cool. Even after post check. It's not even like, and it doesn't have to take long. Like, what's new? And I'm not expecting a whole blah, 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 they're like, wow, I'm lighter. Amazing. High five. I'll see you next time.
I got to tell you, when I have people, one of my examples of that is when people come in and I'm looking at their initial situation, their initial paperwork, and what they've expressed. I'll acknowledge what's there, but I'll also ask them, well, what do you want to gain from your experience here?
Right.
What do you want to gain from your experience here? Which also makes them think, huh? Because just the word gain is different than less of something. So they have to like access something different, right? Or I'll say, wow, that seems to be a lot, right? And well, what do you want? It doesn't seem like that's the experience of your body you want to have. What do you want to replace that experience with?
Yes.
And again, it makes them have to think differently, just access a different part of their brain that they're not used to accessing when they go to a conventional healthcare provider.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So then what happens now with chiropractors in general, right, and chiropractic teams, how can we further help people shift their practices towards that? What's another thing that they could do to have more of a
Besides join
shift towards
LWP.
what?
I said
Join
besides join
LWP.
LWP.
Well, that'd be wise. That'd be wise. I would
Very
agree with that. I mean, I would say go to Mile High and be part of LWP. So for those that don't know, just since you asked or mentioned, tell people what your experience with the Lifetime Wellness Practice was.
Oh, Danny, I could just go on and on. Lifetime Wellness Practice, I mean, truly has like revolutionized every aspect of my practice. And there's still parts and pieces that I am still implementing after, my gosh, how many years is that? Like,
Just a little bit.
26, it's been a minute. It's been a minute. And it's the basis of how I run everything. And it provides such ease because I don't have to think about that. That
Mm.
already exists. And so if I just do the thing, the results just show up. And it's the most effortless and most surprising, I will tell you. And the best investment, and I said this before, it was the best investment that I made when I first opened my practice and continues to the ROI on that investment is insanity. Like insanity.
Well, I don't shortchange people.
No, there's never a lack of content. Let me just tell you that there's never a lack of content. And you and Rochelle give so much. It's absolutely incredible. And so all the parts and pieces in terms of communication, day one, day two, day three, finances. I mean, everything that you could ever dream of, it's all right there. And it's absolutely available. And it's an incredible gift, I have to say.
I don't like people reinventing the wheel. I had to do that. So I'd rather people hand them the wheel and say, here you go.
Totally.
So,
Totally.
and I'm really grateful that you gained so much because I know you've told me over and over again.
So much.
What is one of the things that you really enjoy in terms of giving to people in your practice? One of the things that like really lights you up each day
Oh, each day.
or each month or whatever. It doesn't have to be limited to a day.
I mean, what my favorite thing to do actually is like I feel like our community dinners are my favorite thing. So I
Ah,
always see that as like that's like it's not just a hey, this is for just, for you to bring new people, but it literally is like a gift to the practice. And it feeds on itself because people share, we'll have a couple people share what their experience is, but then the community, the literal community that builds from these dinners, it is wild. Like it's so good. And people come away from that every single time. Like, that is such a gift, Dr. J. Like, thank you for bringing us all together, And I'm like, I'm Filipino. I love to host. It's like my favorite thing. Like, you know, um, but there's that. And then on a everyday level, I feel like the gift that my favorite gift to essentially kind of give people is it's man, it's hope every single
uh-huh,
time.
uh-huh.
It's the gift of hope, and it's the knowing that there are that there's just a sense of limitless possibilities and that they're wired for brilliance, extraordinary. Like that's how they were brilliantly and just, innately made by the maker. Like, and they get to experience that every single time that they come in.
Right, right. As compared to thinking I'm limited to a certain box.
Yes, to my shoulder pain
Right, right.
or my
And
stress.
then also the realization of the gap of what they could have and the experience of, oh, I've limited myself to that range
Totally.
versus that I'm more than that.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
And that me having being healthy is more than this negative thing going away. Right? That experience.
The whole way that they begin to not only see and experience that discomfort or whatever it was, but how they relate to their lives, how they
Mhm.
relate to their lives in every aspect of it. It's not just physical. We're talking about their relationships, their business, their finances, everything. How they experience that in a completely new light, literally because they're able to access a completely new part of their brain, is like it's it's heart opening and you know, it's awesome. It's really, really awesome.
Right, right, right. Well, I really appreciate you taking your pretty full life, and I really appreciate you taking your time to be on the Mile High podcast. Is there anything more you'd like to share with chiropractors, chiropractic students?
Get to Mile High. If you have
Oh,
not,
that's a good one.
is that a good one? Okay.
That's a good one. I'd be like that.
Um, I I love Mile High for so many reasons, and this last one was so great because it felt like for me there were so many Life West grads that were around the same time that I had been that I had
Ah,
not seen in a
yes.
long time. And so just in that sense of just chiropractic family, um, I freaking love it. I love it so much.
No, I gotta say something about what you just said.
Yeah.
I often ask people because we want to make an experience, a chiropractic movement that people get a lot from, enjoy, and want to come back. And you just did exactly what I'd say 99.9% of the people do is you said how great the people there you were there with. My friends, my community, the connections, my Life West peeps, like, and every time people say that's what I mean, we have incredible speakers, and it's like dialed in terms of the presentations and put a lot of energy. But people love the community of Mile High.
And because I feel like how do I say it, the quality of people who show up at Mile High are the people that you freaking want to hang out with.
Right.
They're the people that you want to, you know what I mean? Like
Yes.
it's a special, special breed. And I love that because we come from all over, and yet there is this beautiful common thread that really celebrates, the science and the art and the philosophy of chiropractic and truly celebrates that.
Right.
And yeah, get to frickin' Mile High.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. Well, Jeannie, I know I'll see you somewhere soon because we run each other. We run into each other in so many chiropractic circles so frequently. But I want to thank you for just being incredible light and a force of instability. And I mean that in the most positive way, as you know. Okay, and bringing more magic to people's lives and more magic moments to people's lives, and helping people upsize instead of downsize. So, and anytime I have a pumpkin spice latte, I'm going to be thinking of you from now on. And I
Having
might
your own
hear
shanty moment.
I'm going to hear it in my head, like for now the rest of my life. That's just the way it is. And Rochelle will love it when I tell her that.
Totally. I love it. I love it so much.
Well, again, thank you so much, and thank you for being a main speaker at Mile High, helping with the breakout groups and so on. And we look forward to seeing you back to Mile High again. And yes, she's right. If you're watching, listening, just to calendar, just mark out right now, September Mile High, and you'll be there. By the way, another thing, like a force of change at that time, that last week of September, it's the leaves changing. It's when leaves change in Colorado. And it's just absolutely breathtaking. And I guess you could have a PSL when you're looking at that.
Oh,
you're driving through the Rocky Mountains.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Danny.
You're welcome. I'm glad I brought some more laughter too. So keep changing spines, lives, and minds with chiropractic. And remember, riseuptomilehigh.com. See you in September.